Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. Well, if you invest for value, you've come to the right place because our value stock strategist, Tracey Ryniec at Zacks.com, has a couple of more value stocks that she'd like to make you aware of. And this first one is a little bit weird to me. I've never heard of this company, eHouse China,
yes.
Right? Ticker symbol EJ, apparently a Chinese real estate company.
Yep.
With all the question marks surrounding their economy, who would want to even look at a company like this?
Well, it is certainly in the interesting space, as you said, because the Chinese government is slowing down the housing market over there because they're worried about the housing bubble. And this company handles a whole bunch of proprietary agents and brokers, and they also have a side business that they own a partial portion in that's kind of an information database that I think is similar to our MLS. That's how I take it.
All right.
So yeah, like why would you want to be in real estate right now in China? But that's what makes this company kind of interesting, and they're not shying away from the issues revolving around that. In fact, they just said 2 weeks ago in their first quarter report that what the Chinese government is doing is slowing the transactions and the volumes, and it is going to impact them in the next 2 to 3 months because the slowdown is happening right now. But their whole argument is you have to look long term, and that as the Chinese economy continues to grow, people are going to need housing. So, it's kind of a mixed picture, but this could be an interesting time to get into a stock like this because of people are a little bit fearful right now. And as you can see from the estimates, they did beat big on this first quarter, but that was kind of before the government was slowing everything. The estimates for the second quarter have fallen in the last 90 days, but it's been kind of holding recently. So the analysts kind of don't know what to do, and they're kind of just keeping their numbers, it looks like to me. Yeah. The year, it's up slightly in the last couple weeks, and then next year looks even better because I think people think the worst will be over then. So, it's trading around 14 times. That's not super expensive for the stock. It's not really cheap. But as you can see from the chart, it's been getting hit pretty hard in the last couple months because the overall Chinese stocks have been getting hit hard. Yeah. So that's what makes it kind of a value play right here. You got to be a little bit of a risk taker to get in here, though.
Okay, interesting. Frontline Ltd is another one you've written about recently. FRO, the ticker symbol. They operate one of the largest fleets of oil tankers in the world. Yeah,
so this is kind of another interesting play because this sector has really taken it on the chin. I mean, in 2008, we saw the record oil prices, and that's when this stock was, high. All these tanker companies were doing really well. It made about $9 a share in 2008, and then 2009, it just went off a cliff because basically no one was transporting oil around the world. Right. So they made $1.32 in 2009. But since then, they've been kind of, on the upswing here because the global recovery is happening. So, they're starting to see a pickup in what they are able to charge for their ships. And they saw a pickup from the fourth quarter into the first quarter, which is a very good thing for these kind of shipping companies to see. And they also said just recently when they had reported first quarter that they're seeing, improvement in the emerging markets, and even in the U.S., Europe, and Japan are kind of lagging, but these are all good signs for these kind of shipping companies. They also announced a really big dividend in the first quarter, which most of the analysts weren't expecting. This is kind of one of those companies that pays out a lot of their earnings into a dividend.
I see.
So they announced a 75-cent dividend, which is about a 10% yield, which is quite high.
Yeah.
That changes every quarter, so you kind of have to watch and see what happens with the company every quarter. But as you can see from the estimates, because they had the big beat in the first quarter, the estimates are all up, and people are expecting pretty good numbers for the full year and going into next year as we continue to see more of a recovery in the economy, and especially in the crude markets. The chart is kind of crazy because they saw huge highs in 2008. It fell off a cliff like their earnings did, and they come back a little bit off the March lows, but these shipping companies really haven't seen the big gains like we've seen in a lot of other stocks. But that's also why it's a value play here, trading around 11 times earnings, which isn't super expensive for this kind of company, and they do have a kind of an interesting outlook going forward.
All right, do you own either of these two?
I actually do. I own Frontline.
Ooh, okay. After months of saying no, weeks, finally got one that she owns. Well, if you want to check out more of what Tracey's written about in the recent past in that value category, go over to our homepage at Zacks.com and click on the live link, which is the headline next to the value category in the upper right-hand corner. That'll take you to the current story that's up there that they're featuring of Tracey's. And then if you go to the bottom of that story page that it takes you to, there's an archive of some others. With Tracey Ryniec, I'm Terry Ruffalo.